This is Adam Collingwood here, and what we're going to do is have a look at a live chart of the DAX and the opportunities available. The time now is 7:09 on 10th of May, which is a Wednesday evening. Now what I want to do is just show you this perfect setup here. What we had is the DAX crossing super trend line here. Also, we had a move above the zero line on the awesome oscillator, which is a buy signal there. We also had rock and roll indicator turning green here, and also a move on the on balance volume indicator. So you can see that that's just crossed my 100 EMA. So we've got some volume here. Now on the ADX reading, that's still light at the moment. It's not quite crossed the 20 that we have on the chart, and most importantly, we have everything turning green on the directional movement index. Okay, so we want synchronicity here, everything all in alignment to take a trade. So there was a buy here. Okay, now I'm aware that the DAX was still below the 200 EMA, which is just here, the 200 EMA, the red line. Okay, so we generally like to just take trades if we're selling when it's below, and if we're buying once it's actually above the 200. But this is an opportunity just to scalp some pips here. So this is a day trading strategy for those of you who are day traders. As you may know, I also provide training and videos on stock trading as well, so look out for those. But this is day trading strategy, so this is a 1 minute chart. So the opportunity was to buy here as it just crossed through our super trend line here, and we're able to take that buy on because everything was in alignment. So we had all our ducks in a row that gave us that nice buy signal there. So we know that there's real movement happening. So buy there at 15,882, and it got as high as 15,899. So not a great deal of pips there, but you could have taken some and perhaps taken profit just as it hit the trend line at the top here. Alright, so there's no risk on the table there once it started moving. You'll move the stop up behind, but initially the stop would have just been on the low of this particular candle here. So if it had crossed back down, we would have been out of the trade. So risk reward was reasonable here. But what I really want to show you is what happened next, and was just like a perfect opportunity where you can see what's happened here with the price action as it's dropped considerably from up here. Now we can see that again, 1 minute candles, the DAX is just crossed below super trend 1 here, which is our black line. The awesome oscillator was below the zero line. Okay, so that's moving with the price action there. Rock and roll had turned red, which is a sell signal there, and on the DMI, directional movement index, that had all turned negative. So if we want to look at the DMI now, we can see, if we maximize the panel here, you can see this is where this happened. So it crossed below our 20 line here for the ADX as that was moving up, so that was showing real strength in the move happening as it pushed through there. So this black line here, if you're not aware of this, is all about strength of a move, whether it's going up or down. Okay, so it's not, if it's going up, it means that there's selling happening. If it's going up and there's buying happening, then this would be green here. Okay, but I get into that in other videos. So what we can see is our green line here is just crossed. So if we have a look at what that is, so just at that point, so maybe if we just look at this one, we can see that the DI reading there was 22. That's a DI minus. The DI plus was 18, so you take one against one from the other, and it gives a reading of minus 3.36. Okay, the ADX at that time was 17. We'll ideally like it to cross about 20. I mean, when it starts above 17, that's a good sign, but Ideally, that's why I have this setting here of 20 once the ADX crosses that. Okay, so the ADX is a strength indicator, all right, but it's just still placed. So though we've got that standalone on the chart, it's also built in on the DMI, the Directional Movement Index. Okay, so this starts to widen. So there's lots of nice elasticity there. So this is actually moving further and further apart as more selling is actually happening. Okay, so whilst on our histogram here we can see, so if you like looking at the bars here, rather than perhaps looking here, you can just see that the bars are showing all red here, all the way up to this point. So from 5 o'clock all the way till 6:44, so an hour and 44 minutes that this remains completely red. So let's have a look at that. So if we go have a look at 1659 there, and that was 1659. Okay, so that was just when it crossed below super trend, so that gives us our signal there to sell. It moves sideways for a little while, but that's absolutely fine because we've got our stop just up here. So we're, in terms of risk reward, there's only the high of that candle 15,896, and then the sell there as 15,887. So you're not risking too many pips there, just over 10 pips there. Okay, so that was where the stop would have been. The price had crossed below our 200 EMA. So again, this red line here, we like to see that. So it's just falling below the 200, and what we see a little bit later on is the on-balance volume indicator starting to make lower lows. Okay, so I'll go into that again in another video, what all that means, but it does cross below our 100 EMA here, which is bodes very well for this move south. So from this sell up here, 15,886, if you got in a little bit later, 15,884, not a problem. Everything was all aligned, so the awesome oscillator was below the zero, so you can see from here, so it stays below the zero all the way to this point here. It was rock and roll. The rock and roll indicator was also red. We had a bit of neutral here, some little greens there, but we don't close the trade just because that happens, because the price is still below our super trend line here, which just keeps us, this is shadow line, just is in this the strategy that developed just to keep us in the trade. Okay, so it's a discipline of keeping us in the trade. That's why we like the super trend line. So it just shadows that, and then it just as it crosses super trend 3 here, our yellow line. Again, I'll get into that in another videos, what all that means, all the super trend lines, which I've got. These are all my tools up here. Got tools down the bottom here as well from MACD and stochastic, which I like to have available to look at occasionally. I can minimize some of these sometimes if I want to make the chart a little bit less complicated, but I like to have them all on here when I'm placing a trade, whether I'm buying or selling. So from this sell here, you can see what happened next. So from 15,886 or 15,884, if you got in there, the price dropped beautifully all the way down to this point here. Okay, so we're talking about 15,822 there. Okay, so that's a nice 60 pip move. Okay, all the way down. And then if you wanted to get out of the trade, if you perhaps it could have kept going, then you would have just closed the trade at this point here. So as the price just crossed super trend, you bank the money here. It did turn above the zero line on the oscillator. So although these are all green and red, it's all about this crossing above the zero line on the awesome oscillator. It was neutral on the rock and roll. And then if we look to our directional movement index, that's when it started to turn positive at that point. So all of that is lined up to say let's close the trade. At that point you could, bearing in mind this is at support 2, you could have taken a buy. Okay, so look at what would have happened. So it's above the zero line, it's above super trend here, so you could have banked the money on the sell and then change to a buy trade here, and that would have been okay to do that, provided again is you've got a stop in there which should have just been here in case it crossed back down again. So you just close the trade, so small risk there that you're taking. And I think at the moment, it's finding some resistance at the 200 EMA, so we could start to see this move south again. Okay, and there might be another sell signal taking this all the way back down. But where the real meat was to be had is up here. Okay, where it just the price fell below support 1 and continued to drop from there. Again with the ADX, I just wanted to show you that, so you can see as it really starts to sell, the DAX, the ADX starts to increase. So this is all about the strength of the sell. Okay, this black line here, and of course that's a sole indicator, the ADX, but I also have it down here on the directional movement index also. All right, so I just wanted to show you that there's some nice move. There's lots of moves today. I'm not going to get into all of them, but this is just such a wonderful strategy if you love trading and you want to make money. Well, this is how to do it. So look out for the other videos. I'll do lots of how-tos, how to set up charts, how to get these indicators, what they all mean. And most importantly, how they can help you improve your trading, improve consistency, discipline, and to be able to pick the right trades, when to get in, when to take profit, and when to exit quickly. Which in trading you have to take small losses occasionally, and this system again just make sure that you do that, so you can turn a sell trade very quickly into a buy trade, and then very quickly into a sell trade again, especially when it's trending nicely like it is, like it has been today. I think some of the numbers that there's quite a bit of movement really, because the CPI numbers came out from the USA at 130, and although inflation had dropped slightly by 0.1% on that CPI. Initially, the markets went up, the DAX, Wall Street, FTSE 100, etc. But once Wall Street opened, it started to drop again. So we're now seeing the DAX and Wall Street drop quite a bit today. I mean, there was a high of about 15,980, I think it was. So it's dropped quite a bit since that high. But one thing, just final thing, before I close off, to note is if we look at a daily chart, the DAX has been moving sideways for quite some time, and it certainly it had a bit of a move up on Friday when the non-farm payroll numbers came out, which is this green candle here. So this is the daily candle of Friday the 5th of May, and you can see that the ADX, this is really important, the ADX is just getting lower and lower. It just means that the bulls are kind of just running out of strength. Okay, so this is kind of giving the heads up. It's running out of strength. What we want to do, if there's lots of buying, we'll start to see this lift above 20, and at the moment it's just dropping, which is an indication that the bulls are running out of strength, and not necessarily the bears taking over yet, but it is running out of strength. And the same with the on-balance volume indicator. So the volume is getting lower in terms of that buying, and you can see here that potentially could just below the 100 EMA there, but that's starting to, there's a high there, and that's starting to make lower highs. Okay, so we could certainly start to see a bit of a sell-off, but we trade what we see. There's still a bit of fight left possibly with the bulls, but ultimately overall in the next coming weeks, I do expect the DAX, unless there's any rapid change, I do expect the DAX to drop, and what we'll do is on these small time frames, we will be taking advantage of those big moves as they happen. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. This is a lovely strategy, and it's a bread and butter one to consistently take money from the markets, in this case trading the German DAX. I'll put some links below if you want to know a little bit more about some of the indicators, and if you do need any help at all, then just let me know. Okay, happy trading. Speak again soon.